Hey, hi guys. How you all doing? It's Ray here from City Fan TV. Don't know if you prefer that one. That look, Bernard, what do you think?
No, mate. Don't want to see our ugly faces, do they? Too close up. Glad it's not high definition anyway, that's for sure.
Tell you what, living in a big HD today. Guys, obviously, it's the day after the game against Aston Villa. We beat them 3-1. Very nice indeed. First half was pretty much all City, wasn't it, Bernard, that first half?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking back on my match notes, obviously trying to figure out what happened. You know, when you go to the games, it's all so I usually look at a timeline, you know, one of the timelines, and then sort of, oh yeah, I remember that, remember this, and remember that, and yeah, Villa didn't really have much of that timeline in that first half. That sort of bowls with what we saw on the pitch.
I don't think they had a shot in the first half. We scored 3 goals. We had another goal disallowed, which should have been either a disallowed goal or a penalty, because I'm not having that man. No, come on. You know, the goalkeepers are too protected. You beg.
Well, they are, but you're never going to get them in a million years.
Yeah, but look, he actually but he came. Well, we're going to talk about that later, but we're going to talk about it. He came out and he clobbered Haaland. He clobbered him. Yeah, he didn't get the ball. If he'd caught the ball and knocked Haaland, I'd have kind of taken that. Okay, but he's come and he's not got the ball. He's not got control of the ball. He's lost it and he's slapped Haaland around the head. So me or any competent ref would have at least booked the guy or sent him off, because that's dangerous play. And then he goes down. What does he do? What's he holding?
His head.
His head. I don't. I've seen the replays. I've not seen exactly him getting hit in the head. I don't know how that happened, but he knew once he'd lost the ball. As soon as he'd lost the ball, he was there holding his head, because he knew that was the only way, because he's not going to get up and stop it. He didn't know what's going on. That's what he's going to try to. That's just cheating for me. If they can show that it's not, he's not hurt his head.
Well, he's a very frustrating keeper. Anyway, he's a good keeper, but I just hate his antics. I don't like what he gets up to. I'm a big fan of his shot stopping. I wouldn't mind Edison to have a bit of his skills, but as far as the character's concerned, I've no real time for him. In fairness.
But look, he's not. He doesn't come across as a nice guy. But if he was playing for us, he'll be a lovely guy.
Well, my lad said that to me. He said he's the sort of guy who plays for us. We would like him. You know, I'd like him, but I can't stand the bloke.
Absolutely, Bernardo Silva. Ask other fan bases. They hate him because he winds them up. But we love him because he winds them up.
Well, it's a bit like that guy for United, isn't it? They're Portuguese, little Portuguese swine. I can't remember his Bruno. Is it Bruno? Yeah.
Bruno for
He's just so horrible. He's worse than Bernardo. At least Bernardo sort of.
United fans love him. So there you go. So we had those 3 goals. We had that goal chalked off. We had the one that Gundogan really should have passed to Haaland, when Haaland's going, come on, pass me the ball. And that's when Martinez just got his foot to it, went around the post.
Yeah, it was a good save, but Gundogan should have just side-footed it to Haaland when he had the chance.
Yeah.
Bad play by... I mean, like when we did the ratings, I thought Gundo played very well, but his shooting and that just totally ruined it for me last night, because he had about 3 shots that were just rubbish, absolute rubbish shots.
They're not the usual standard. Rather than say the guy's rubbish,
No, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, apart from that, it was great. It was good. I enjoyed his play, but he's just in front of goal. Yeah. He's not putting his foot through it. He's just trying to stroke the ball into the net every time.
Also say we had the Grealish shot that was just tipped round, that I think was going in. So look, but you look at that and you say, hang on, we scored 3 goals. Okay, we had 2 other. We should have scored another one that if Gundogan had passed to Haaland. Grealish was only saved by it was a really good save from the keeper, and we could have had a penalty. So it was old City. Second half was new City, typical City, because we were crap, really. Look, we made those. Was it 2 subs at half time? We brought was Diaz injured because he come off at half time, or has he been saved for Arsenal? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was saved. I think Pep said there's no problem. It's just obviously he's not been playing many games, has he? So he was on a booking, of course, so he didn't want to take any chances.
Yeah, and obviously Haaland came off with a thigh injury, but I read somewhere that he's trained today. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm getting people saying about this penalty because I was up in arms that Ireland should always take the penalty. Well, he was injured. I said, well, he looked as though he's moving all right to me. He didn't look as though, and Pep actually said, and someone said, well, he might be using that as a ploy. Pep said if it had been a close game, he would have kept on playing. So he couldn't have been that injured. It was just a total disaster, that penalty thing.
We're winning 3-0, so there's no point. I understand that. I'd have liked them to stay on for 10 or 15 minutes in the second half, just to get us through that early part of the second half, and then you swap it around, then you take someone off. But I understand why we did it. We made some more changes. It's like one of those international friendlies where you make 6 or 7 changes and the game just falls apart. And it just fell apart. Diaz was off, Akanji on. Akanji is taking a bit of stick because he weren't great. Why do you think Akanji's fallen off a bit? Because he looked, everybody's no, but the truth is,
it's only this. He's been okay up to this game. It was just obviously, and he was all right for a lot of that second half. There's just a couple of brain farts which we don't want him to have that might have cost us under different circumstances.
And the thing is, with the reactionary fans these days, they don't look at what's just happened. So he's rubbish now. I read someone say he's 5th choice centre back. I saw that a few weeks ago, and I saw it again a couple of days. 5th choice centre back. Behave. 3 months ago, him and Ake were first two on the team sheet in defence. Okay, so I'm not having any of this. He's 5th choice, but.
I mean, he's been pulling 6s and 7s and 7.5s the last 5 or 6 games I've got marked down here. Yeah. So I mean, so it was only last night that he came into perhaps he's not very good coming off the bench. I don't know. He's just perhaps he's not. He needs the pace of the game. He needs to move to the pace. But you can't call him. Yes, he made a couple of bad decisions and a couple of bad passes. But don't throw him under the bus just yet.
Absolutely. He's been all right.
Edison, perhaps we'll throw him under. I'll start to throw him under the bus unless he starts performing as a goalkeeper.
Thing is, you saw that shot go past him. Alisson would have saved it.
I don't know what he's doing, Ray. It wasn't even that a goalie would have saved it. I just don't understand what his positioning was. Yeah. He was all out of balance. His balance was totally wrong. Akanji looked as though he was going to get to the player and seemed to let him have a shot. He seems you have this shot. And Edison just didn't do what even Sunday League goalkeeper would have acted differently. I can't understand what Edison was doing. There might be someone in the stands with a laser distracting him. I have no idea because that wasn't goalkeeping. I'm sorry, that was poor from Edison. It's getting to the stage where now when I'm starting to agree with people who are going on about Ortega because that was poor. And if he's not being utilised what he's good at. It gets to the stage that you're thinking, well, perhaps we do need a shot stopper rather than this guy. It's a bit of a worry actually at the moment.
Well, I said it a few weeks ago, probably to you or on maybe a book from the Blue podcast, where I said it'd be interesting to know how many goals he's created. Look, not how many goals he's created, whether direct or indirectly, like the pre-assist against how many easy shots he should have saved. That's not telling the true story because obviously we build out from the back and he's essential to that. He's integral.
I mean, was it that chance that we had late on when he threw it out and we should have really scored? I think late on he did a crack, dead. But other goalies can do that. It's not just him. Not just him because he's able to do that. But
absolutely, it's hard to gauge. How much better if he is a little bit better than other goalies at throwing it out and passing it out.
Especially because now City this season, we've not been playing the same as City the seasons previous, isn't it? Now we seem to have changed tack, and unfortunately, Edison now doesn't look as effective in the way we're playing. Which, having said that, a lot of the players don't. That's why we've been having problems. Yeah. So he's not alone in that score. But as I say, last night I just looked at it and I've watched it back on replay many times, and I've been trying to suss out what the hell he was doing, and I still don't know.
Well, you look at something like the Arsenal FA Cup game where Ortega was there, but we were playing the ball long because Arsenal wouldn't let us play it short. They'd have 5 or 6 men there and stopping that. And some teams are looking to stop us having easy ball in our. It's hard work to do that, pressing us. It's very hard, but some teams I think are looking at doing that, and we do need a change up. And I think we've had 2 clean sheets in the last 10. We're always going to let goals in. We're always going to give chances. We saw it yesterday, giving chances. So that was a bit of a concern. But we obviously, when we changed things around, Foden came on for Grealish, I think. Or was it for Bernardo? We took players off, put players on. We did look. We dropped off dramatically. It's one of these. I don't think goal difference probably will come into it, because I think we're about 6 better off than Arsenal right now. But again,
no, that's one good game though, mate. Isn't it? 6 goals. I mean, even Arsenal are quite capable with their squad at the moment, and their guys scoring goals from all over the pitch, like all different players. It's nothing that it might just be a 1 game 6-0 win. Well, not to say we can't do it as well,
absolutely. But the disappointment was we had them at 3-0 at our time. We could have pressed ahead and won that game by maybe 5-1. You get 4 goal thing. You're on 8. 8 is 2 good games. 6 is 1 really good game. 8 is 2 good games. Or 3 games. So you want that. You want that difference. You want that to be worth a point. So I don't want Arsenal to look at City and say, if we draw level with them, that they're level on points. I want them to feel they're 1 point behind, because our goal difference is like 12 better than theirs. Like Liverpool a few years back, where it was on goal difference, but they were never catching us. Never catching us, because we were just 7 or 8 or whatever it was ahead, and they knew they were never catching us on goal difference. And I want Arsenal to feel the same, and I want that to put extra pressure on them, that they have to win every single game. Because a draw, if we draw, we're level again. So, and our goal difference keeps us ahead. So that's slight disappointment, but overall, good first half. Typical City, bad second half. But main thing is we won. We rested a few players. And we roll on. Now, we talked about that. I wasn't really going to talk much about that. What I want to focus on is the fans. Obviously, guys know if the ones who saw me do the live stream of the team news, I was stood by a broken down car at the side of the road. So I missed the game. I was totally gutted missing the game. There's something I've got to say. I forgot to say this. I wanted to say at the top of the show. Hi, Big Morgan. Hope you're well. I want to dedicate this show. Sorry for doing it 12 minutes in. I did forget, but I was rushing. I want to dedicate this show to Daniel. Now, you might have seen Daniel when I was reporting at games, especially in the old Man City Fan TV days. And then, especially before COVID. There was Daniel and James, and I used to interview them after games. James, big chap with the glasses, and Daniel was a Scottish guy, always well dressed. And sadly, I found out early this morning that Daniel passed away in last month. So, he was a great guy. He sometimes didn't want to come on camera, and we had to persuade him. But both James and Daniel very. Magnanimous, is that the right word? When a opposition team played well, they'd say so. They weren't, complaining about it. They'd say someone played well, or they wanted it more, or whatever. They give credit where it was due. So, they were right and good and honest about it. So, I'll wait to see the next time I see James. But, to find that out this morning, so I'm really sorry to hear that. Rest in peace, Daniel. And obviously, we pass on our condolences to his family and friends. So just want to mention Daniel. I want to talk about the fans. I want to talk about, because obviously you were there. I had lots of plans yesterday, which went up in smoke. Fortunately, my clutch didn't go up in smoke, but I tell you what, you could smell it burning on the side of the road. You tell me what the atmosphere was like before the game. What did you do before the game?
Yeah, well, I went into Mary D's initially just to eat my chips and curry, just to have a pint in there, eat my chips and curry. I went into the ground about an hour before. A bit of obviously all these new songs now with the Mancini song and all the different gallows humour songs that you'd expect. It was. I mean, outside the ground, it was very busy. I mean, I was there a couple of hours before. It seemed a lot busier than normal outside the ground. Atmosphere, obviously, 1894 were doing the coach meeting, a coach greeting, weren't they? So there's a lot more people around the Colin Bell where the entrance is, where the coach comes in. So that was good. And in the ground, I thought the first half was excellent, atmosphere-wise. Villa weren't great. We were all right, not too bad. A little bit of singing while the minute's applause was going on. I was informed by a Villa fan that it's a mark of respect, that song, to people who died. And I looked at the lyrics. It's about a Birmingham City fan dying, so being killed. So yeah, not, you know, I sort of said to him, "Sorry, mate, it's not appropriate. You know, whatever. Just applaud like normal fans would." You know,
even if they were doing something and it was appropriate lyrics, people, you're not going to understand.
We don't know their traditions. We don't know their songs. So it said it was just inappropriate. It didn't work. It wasn't an excuse that passed muster anyway. And as soon as he did it, obviously the City fans started to boo a little bit, obviously, as you do when you hear it, and then they sort of show up, and it was near the end of the minute's applause or whatever anyway. So that passed. But yeah, first half excellent. I think the second half, because we were 3-0 up, I think the energy went out a little bit. I think the energy went out when Mahrez took his penalty, because we were devastated. We all wanted Haaland to take it. The fans were singing Haaland. Yeah. Obviously, for whatever reason, he didn't. Some people saying, obviously, with his knock, he couldn't take it. But it sort of drew the life out. Even when we scored, it seemed like we were deflated. I know it's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? I mean, I wanted Mahrez to score. Of course I did. But in another way, I didn't. And that's a horrible thing to say. Because you know, you're 2-0 up. We thought, well, 3-0, game over. But that's how it felt. And literally the atmosphere, even when we scored it, even though obviously most people were at the bar by that time anyway, in fairness, most of the guys. So it did sort of drag all the energy out of it. And the second half just never really got going on the pitch or really off the pitch.
But if we'd got going on the pitch, do you think that would have helped?
Yeah. It was just a bit. And there's a lot of empty seats in the family stand. There's like a big bunch of empty seats formed from about 20 minutes from the end. A lot of people going 10 minutes from the end, and from an excellent start, crowd-wise and football-wise, it all ended a bit damp squibby, by about 60, 70 minutes. It all bit disappointing. The singing section tried to keep things going a little bit. I mean, the first half we were singing that "Don't Worry, It'll Be All Right" song for quite a long time till we scored the second or third goal. I can't remember. But yeah, we didn't quite match it the second half. But there were reasons. But I think it's as though everyone was just too tired, just worn out. I don't know what happened. The players looked worn out, and probably the fans did as well.
Yeah. I'm just going to mention, because I should have done it at the start of the show, but I've got to mention, if you are new to the channel, it would be lovely if you could subscribe. We said the other day, channel's done pretty well, thanks to people like Bernard, been on for best part of a couple of weeks. Thanks to also to Colin and the video we did with Colin. That brought us about 75 new subscribers. But also, since I've been back doing some videos and you've been on, Bernard, we picked up another 85 subscribers on top of that. So, in the last month and today, we've just, since this started, I think we picked up one more. So we're 27 away from that magical 1,000. So we're on 973 subscribers. So anybody else who can subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified as soon as new videos come out, that'd be absolutely fantastic, guys. Right, some of the songs. Hey, Blue Monday, how you doing? It's Blue Viper. Good to see you here as well. So I'm going to go through some of the songs. Obviously, we had the Panic on the Streets of London, which has boiled. That's ultimate piss boiler. Afterwards, so many people they didn't get it. Okay, obviously it was a play on word for Lord Panic, who's going to be I think the lead barrister defending City against the Premier League charges. And obviously, Panic on the Street of London was a song from the Panic.
I think they played it over the PA as well.
Played it at the end of the game. Yeah, so I heard that. So that was the play on words, and it wasn't. They weren't mentioning the barrister to laud him, to hold him aloft and say he's going to save us. It wasn't about that. And they did. I wasn't there, and I got it, but so many people didn't get it. They absolutely didn't get it, and they slated us for it. That we're doing this for lauding this thing. And it's just like, guys, you didn't get it. And this is how misunderstood we are. And this is how we get criticism from journalists and other fans who just didn't understand. They didn't get the humor. There was humor from City fans. They don't get it. Maybe it's a Manchester thing. I don't know. Also, they were booing in the Premier League anthem. Drying that out. That's fantastic. So we boo UEFA, we boo Premier League. That was great. Obviously, we had the usual one, which some idiots in the press said Man United fans have started singing City going down with $1 billion in the bank. Now, we were singing this more than about 12, 13 years ago, singing this City going down with $1 billion in the bank. So after Shipman took us over. So, where have they been? And so they just jump on this. I think partly either they're stupid, ignorant, or just looking for clicks, maybe all three, because that obviously riles the City fans up. Lots of interaction, lots of clicks, and there you go. So there was that. Obviously, the City fans were thinking, "Where Manchester City will cheat when we want."
Yeah. And you've seen the cheaters now off home and all that.
The Mancini one,
the Rotherham one with the empty seats one, but it's Rotherham. We're playing Rotherham at home.
I've forgotten what it was. The Mancini one, I'm disappointed no one went with my Mancini song, because my Mancini song is Mancini, whoa, he came from Italy. We paid him illegitimately.
Oh, for God's sake, too many syllables, mate.
Exactly. Obviously, secretly is a lot better. It works. It works easier than. Look, I'm just trying to be cultured, Bernard. Trying to bring a bit of class to the show. But the Mancini song, I mean, everybody. The thing is, it's kind of the dark gallows humor of City. It's what we are. You look at some of our other songs. We can't win away, can't win at home, and all that rubbish. We never win away. You'll correct my mistakes as I go along. But we sing all these songs. It's gallows humor and dark humor sometimes. They don't get it. And people having a go at us for what we're doing. But the thing is, most fan bases, if they're in the same position and did the same thing, it's tribal football, did say they're doing all right. So what City fans say, yeah, we did all right there.
We're going down with the Villa. That was a good one. We're going down with the Villa.
Absolutely, Blue Monday. You need humour at times like this. Life's, for a lot of people, working class fans, it's tough at the moment. So you've got to have that little escapism, that little break, and sing, a bit of gallows humour, a bit of dark humour, and stuff like that. So you gotta have all that. But I've just lost my thread. What I was going to say now. But so it was. The fans were really, really good. I enjoyed the other one. I was going to say, you had Adam Crafton having a go at John Bell, who is the son of Colin Bell. And it was, John had said something after. He tweeted something after Pep had spoken and just said, it's great that the club are coming out fighting and, praising Pep. And that's it. It's nothing over the top. And Adam Crafton came out and had a pop at him. He said that City's PI is working really well. He's got even, basically, he was knocking him back, but he was saying, we've got intelligent people believing the City's PR. So that was, I forgot, my language is gone. I forgot the right word. He's basically looking down on him, what's patronising him or whatever. Evening Spencer Mark. So that was quite bad, and it was so bad that have you seen the tweets from Press Switch Blue? No. Press Switch Blue knows Adam's family. Press Switch Blue came out and said, Press Switch Blue made some comment in this. Basically, I think it was in the same kind of paraphrasing that Adam had used. Press Switch Blue. See, I've spoken to Colin Savage about this before. About he's mentioned Adam a few times. He knows his mum and dad. They're good, really good friends. He said, "I've known him for like 30 years or whatever. I've known his family like all this." And so he did wrote something. And Adam Crafton, then Colin said he looked at the thing and he saw the tweet that. He couldn't read it and he thought, maybe Adam's seen sense and deleted the tweet. That's why there's no tweet there. There was no tweet there because Adam had blocked him. So Colin did lay into him. for a few things, which, you know, he called him a hypocrite amongst other things for going to Qatar. And it's just crazy that so many people have come out and had a pop at City. Obviously, City fans, they're going to do what you'd expect. You're going to defend your club. You love your club.
Everyone does. So I mean, no matter what. But I mean, you know, it's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous to accuse of being some sort of. I mean, we've had it before, being called rats. Have been called rats and various things from members of the media.
Shilling for Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, pathetic.
It's all sorts. And look, I don't bother now with people on social media, on Twitter, because it doesn't matter what you say. Even he's not here. He won't hear about this. Cam. Okay. So Cam asked me lots of questions. I answered them. I think I'm getting through to him. And then I see him spout a lot of shite on Twitter. Someone's put something crazy. And I only see it because I follow Cam. I don't follow Liverpool fans. I see it because I'm following Cam. So Twitter throws it out. One of the people I'm following has said this or liked this. And it's drivel. Someone's written some drivel and he's liked it, which is why I see it. And sometimes I engage with the fans. But there's no point, because whatever you say, they're not going to accept it. No. Now, I'm not saying I know everything, but I like to think I know a reasonable amount. I know reasonably well how the accounts work. People don't understand. People criticizing Chelsea and say, how can they spend 600 million, you know, in 12 months? Well, they can. And it is acceptable within the rules. And the way accounting works, it's very acceptable. And they can offset their expenditure for the year. They don't have to offset the 600 million. They can offset that by selling 2 players. They sell Ziyech and who's the one that's was expected to go? Hudson-Odoi. That's it, sorted. If they sell Gallagher, there was talk of them selling Gallagher in January. That sorts out most of their issues for the year. So they'll sell some players, they'll sort it out that way, and they'll sell some kids, and they'll sort it out that way. They've got, 30-odd players. They'll get rid of players, and they'll make the books balance. And but people don't understand, and you can't go into detail, because whatever you say, they'll just give you shit back.
No, look at that. Look at the banner at Arsenal about with no oil, the oil money.
Yeah.
What's all that? I mean, what the hell's that about? I mean,
Emirates, you know, the Emirates is,
even your own fans don't even you don't even know what's going on in the world.
For all the clueless ones out there, Emirates sponsor Arsenal. They sponsor the stadium.
I thought Alan Spunk Bubble Davis was holding that one up. In fairness, I think it was him in charge of that one.
Racist Alan Spunk Bubble Davis. Get that in, because he had a pop at City's owners towards the end of last year. It might have been, you know, pissed at the time, but that's still inexcusable. But for anybody who doesn't know, Arsenal Stadium is called Emirates. You know, the shirt's got Emirates sponsored. It's the Emirates Stadium. They've been sponsored by Emirates for whatever, 20 years or something, whatever it is. Emirates are the state airline of Dubai. And Dubai are one of those oil cheats, aren't they? No, you get it against City. But I accept it with the same way if it was the other way around. We'd be having a pop at somebody else for this and not looking in our own house. Nobody wants to look in their own house. Nobody wants to look at Liverpool and what they've done. You know, you can say it's minor or whatever, but hey, whether it was technically hacking, but they had access. But
that's the things that third parties have found out. You know, no one's investigated, and the Premier League haven't launched a 5-year investigation into bloody Liverpool to find out what they've hidden under the carpet, have they? So it's just all the expense and all the time's gone on City. That's all they've been doing. 19 other Premier League clubs have been just sat back letting them do it, and because they know they're not being investigated.
Absolutely. I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of, obviously, the Der Spiegel emails and leaks, which were put out to make us look as bad as they could. Now, I think they said, look, Rui Pinto, he's waiting to be sentenced for, obviously, hacking, stealing information, and what was the word? Not corruption. He was basically trying to, I'm sure it begins with C. He was trying to extortion. Sorry, he was trying to extort money from the parties that he'd stolen the information from. And so they said, you know, Der Spiegel put mixed emails, or you were getting. I think Colin said this years ago. They were getting one side of the email. Well, you're only getting one side. Someone might have said, can we do? We need to do this. Someone else might have said, we're not.
And the answer was F off or something like that. You know, F off, you can't do that.
Hi, Gary. Hope you're well. Good evening, Doug. Hope you're well, buddy. Everybody's coming to the channel that's doing the business. Now that Bernard's here, I mean, Bernard put, you know,
well, it's my little soulmate Gary Deneen, isn't it? With one N, so you know, it's. I'm the posh version. Gary's the other end of the gene pool, aren't you, Gary? Mate? No offense. I am anyway. I'm the other end of the gene pool, not Gary.
You were our common man. So what does that make Gary?
No, I'm the Gary's the royal. He's the royal Deneen. I'm the poor Deneen who couldn't get rid of another end if we tried.
I did say on Twitter. I said it earlier on the show, and I'll say it again. That since Bernard's been contributing to the channel, in the last couple of weeks, in the last 28 days, last 4 weeks, we put on 168, I think, new subscribers, which is fab. Half of them I'm saying we're down to. Colin Savage, and a good chunk are down to Bernard being involved. I'm sure people, like looking at and listening to. Well, they do like listening to Bernard.
They don't like looking. You can listen.
Well, I agree with that.
Take the camera off.
Yeah.
Do a mic long one.
We've done. I've got to be honest. We've done really well, and numbers are great. We're up to 973 subscribers, almost at 1,000. 974. I think Stephen Wheatley's he followed me on Twitter, so I don't know who joined us today. We can probably see who's the last.
Who's winning The Apprentice? Well, I'll be honest with you, Doug. They're all a bunch of idiots. I won't say any of the 10 are going to win it at the moment. The way they're going.
Let me just send this guy. My mate's calling me once for some work I offered him. We had Diamond Time Lord as subscribed, so I don't know if he's the latest one, but on 1974, almost 1,500 hours watched in the last month, which is fantastic, and 16,500 views. You might say that's not a lot. Other people do that in one video, but when you're a small channel, well, it's true. But when you're a small channel,
that's what I was laughing. It's true, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. That graphic they showed of, was it Mark, where he obviously where City's in the title, all these views are like treble, quadruple anybody else, any other team's name in the title.
He's got his business model works. He's a business. He riles up City fans on other fan bases. And look, Mike from Bolt from the Blue, he is watching him all the time. It's like, Mike, I don't want to show this. Let's go through. Yeah, look, we all get all this, And I don't even bother telling. I don't tell people that I'm a qualified accountant, chartered tax advisor. I don't bother because people still slag me off. I must have been around the cast time. I must have mentioned it to somebody, and they still slag me off. Or when they say, they know a little bit. I did some accounting modules at university. Well, I spent all these years studying accountancy and all these post degree, qualifications and stuff. I might not still remember. I don't remember much, but I remember some of what we did. So a bit off topic. What's this from Dougie? Who's winning The Apprentice? Oh, he's all right. That's what you were talking about. I hadn't read the thing from Dougie. Who's winning it? I don't know. I don't watch.
No, I have to tell. There's 10 left, and I'll be honest with you, they're all much the same as at the moment, which isn't very. That doesn't mean they're good. Much the same as that just means no one's really standing out, which you normally get by this stage.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't watch it because Sugar's a bugger, so I don't watch it anymore. Colin said, "I don't get this for his dirty money. All these fans, Eco Warriors, and the club they support have negative." Absolutely, you're right there, Colin, because look, Liverpool get the money from Standard Chartered. Their fans will defend them. Arsenal get it from Emirates. Their fans don't even know that Emirates is something to do with Dubai, and they've got oil there. Chelsea were coming from Abramovich, the Russian money. No one seemed to complain there. United, the Glazers, who are not very nice owners, who've taken more money out of United than City have spent on players. So it's crazy. Who've I missed out? Liverpool, worst of the lot, aren't they? The Fenway Sports Group. So they're all, I've said it before. If you investigate every club, you'll probably find something. City have done stuff where they've taken advice from their lawyers or their advisors, their accountants, or the tax advisors, or whatever, and they say you can do this. So, and this
secretly. secretly.
Well, you're not going to tell everybody I'm getting advice. No, what they'll say, you can do this and it's legitimate, and you will save yourself some money by doing this, or on your tax, or on your. And companies do it if it's legitimate. They do it. Why are Chelsea giving players 7.5, 8-year contracts? Because it's allowed. Nothing wrong with it. So they take advantage of it. But sometimes your advisors get it wrong. My accountant got something wrong with my tax, and I've just got some money back from last year.
Well, that's good. I thought you were going to say the opposite then.
No. Look, I had a mate of mine.
Perhaps you get money back off the Premier League then. Perhaps that's the other way.
No, it's a mate of mine. I can't really go into this story. He was a United fan, and he was my finance director at my company years ago, and he made some mistakes, and I got hammered. He actually did it against me, so I actually paid more tax than I was supposed to. But we got audited, and basically, I mean, you're watching HMRC. They blackmailed us. The fella said, "We will come and they did a PAYE audit, okay, and they didn't find anything, okay. But basically, the guy said, we want some money off you. Otherwise, we're going to come here and go through all your books, and we'll be here for 6 months." Basically, that just means they're just going to sit on your head, and you can't do your business because they're going to ask for this and that. So in the end, we end up paying him a couple of grand, even though the only mistake the guy had made, my FD, was in their favour. We'd paid more tax than we needed to. That was the mistake he'd made, and that's what they tried to hang us out to dry. So, so I don't believe any club. I believe all clubs sail close to the wind. And sometimes sailing close to the wind, you might step over the line somewhere inadvertently, accidentally, or you may have given some advice where the advice might be contentious, and the Inland Revenue might have a different opinion on the legislation. And that happens. And then you end up coming to some sort of settlement. But I don't think any club's squeaky clean. That's what I think. Spencer Matt says, if United get Qatari money, what will the media have to say? They'll find a way around it. You know, it's going to be interesting if Qatar do buy United, because they've got PSG as well. How does that work? Because that's not allowed. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Bill ABC, TVCI Sports City win their case against the Premier League. Absolutely. Liverpool owners are disgraced with what they've done in their venture, says Blue Monday. What's this? I hope once City win, they sue the Premier League. That's suing all the other clubs. That'll make us friendly with everybody. This source of money argument is such a lame excuse trotted out by the usual suspects for their underperformance. I'm disgusted. Yeah, look, it's true. It's true. European leagues are complaining about City. No, sorry, about the Premier League, because we've got the most money here. They say it's not fair. Well, do me a favor. When Italy had the money, Italy had the money, they were taking the best players.
If you've got a product that people want, sorry to the other products that aren't as good. Tough if you're not going to do anything here.
Oh, look, you want to buy, let's see, let's pick a brand. You want to buy a Chanel watch or something, okay? You don't hear Casio complaining that Chanel, it's true. You don't hear Casio complaining that Chanel are doing something wrong. They're spending too much money. It's ludicrous. When all the other clubs were building themselves up, okay? These history clubs, everybody's got history, okay? These history clubs, okay? When you come to the formation of the Premier League, I think it was around that time, I don't think United had many more trophies than Aston Villa. They were neck and neck. United have got, 20 league titles? Well, Ferguson won 13 or 14 of them. They were roughly neck and neck with Villa. I think Villa obviously won the European Cup. United won the European Cup. They had a similar number of trophies. United, from 92, so in the last 30 years, okay, they were still a big club and all that, but in the last 30 years, they've done wonders. Okay. In fact, it was only 20 from 92 to for 20 years while Ferguson was there. For 20 years, they won about 13 or 14 league titles. That's made them where they are now. Liverpool in the 70s and 80s, they won loads of stuff. That's put them where they are now. But you go back to 1980 or let's say mid 70s, were Liverpool that much better than Aston Villa in what they'd won? Huddersfield Town had won, was it 3 league titles?
Yeah, 3 on the trot. Yeah.
So It's it's this recent history where then I said, well, we've got history. Well, you want to go back? City won the league title in 37, relegated in 38, despite scoring 100 goals. Did we score 100, letting 104? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
We won the FA Cup in 1903 or four. Sorry. You were there. You always remind me.
I was there. Yeah, I was there. It was hell of a day.
Yeah. But City, your long blonde locks flowing in the wind. But lots of clubs have done stuff. Preston have won stuff. Preston have done the double, if I remember correctly. You weren't there then. That was in the 1880s or something. Whatever.
So yeah, it would have been the late 19th century. Yeah.
Bill says Sir Larrick's won 13 trophies. But that's it. So
well, you have to distinguish, don't you? History involves, of course, trophy winning. That's part of history. But history itself is separate to how many trophies a club's won.
Absolutely.
It just have to be looked at. All right, one is part of the other, but at the end of the day, to say clubs have no history,
it's rubbish.
Even Accrington Stanley or whoever it is, it doesn't matter. You watch telly now, and you watch teams like Wrexham, and these teams, and you look at the badges in 1880. So you think, that's a history. That's history. We might not know much about it, but we could find out if we really wanted to.
Absolutely. And if you want to know about history, yesterday I was in Nottingham. I took my lads. I mean, you can, if you've never been. You got Notts County, and you can see Notts Forest football ground. You could walk or just cross the road, Notts Forest. Actually, the cricket ground's around the corner, and they've got 2 racecourses there. It's just a crazy sports city in a very small area. Notts County, if I remember correctly, they go back to something like 1875 or something. They go back a long way. You got Sheffield. Is it Sheffield City? Who are was it Sheffield Hallam? I can't. There's Sheffield and Hallam, 2 of the oldest clubs in the world. That's history. They might not have won out, but that's history. Okay, just because United have won a lot of stuff and had some famous players, it doesn't make it doesn't elevate them above everybody else.
It's like that Arsenal banner, wasn't it? It said we've tradition, and class and Arsenal class. Have you ever heard so much garbage? There's nothing classy about Arsenal. Particularly the fans. The fans are horrible fans. I'm there on Wednesday. I better not say too much.
You there?
Might put me off. No, but there's nothing classy about Arsenal. Nothing classy about Arsenal than anybody else. With Arsenal class, lots of other
I'm going to mention a name to you. Herbert Chapman. Where was he before he went to Arsenal?
Chapman?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh, come on. I'm going to double check. I'll probably get this wrong now, but I thought he was at another club up north.
No, it might have been. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal took had the money to get players all over the history. They had to get players. They cheated their way into the top division at one stage and stuff like this. So you talk about class. I mean, Arsenal were one of the big. When City were sort of in the early 1900s, Arsenal were always the big club. They were the big club that used to come to up north. They were the big team. Always have been. Nothing wrong with that. I have no disrespect for Arsenal as a tradition, which is what the word they use. But don't start saying you're any better than anybody else.
Here's the thing: Herbert Chapman. Okay, he was at Huddersfield.
I was just going to say the only other team would be Huddersfield. They might nick some of their best players because they won the league 3 times on the trot.
Yeah. Well, this is what they did. So with Herbert Chapman, they won the FA Cup in 22. They won the First Division title in 24 and 25. Okay. Arsenal nicked him. He won the title with Arsenal twice.
United wouldn't have won their first league title unless they took half our team when we got done by the FA. United were nowhere near us. They couldn't touch us. We were the team. United just managed to get half our players for nothing for a song.
We did some naughty stuff.
Well, according to one player who grasped on us, but everyone was at it. All the teams were at it. It's just that we got done for it.
We got done. So let's go through a couple of points. I've got to go in a minute. I've been sat on this contract for 2 months with this theatre, and they wrote to me today. He's still coming. We're going there next month, and so I've got to fill this in and do all the posters and stuff for that. So going to basically pull my finger out. I've heard an argument that City can't possibly earn more than United because United have a much bigger. Absolutely, Colin. The fan base argument is rubbish, because I said, I was on the radio last week and I said, look, United might have 100 million fans in Indonesia. It means nothing, because they're not contributing anything, because quite possibly they're not buying official replica shirts. What are they contributing to United? Nothing. Big, successful companies want to support and be associated with clubs that are successful. It's as simple as that. City are in the Champions League. We've been in the Champions League for, 10 years on the bounce? Okay. Only English club to have done that in the last 10 years. It's City. So they're in the Champions League. Exposure all over the world. One of the biggest football competitions in the world. The two biggest, if you go outside the UEFA, the Euros and the World Cup, the Premier League and the Champions League. And City are in both. Premier League, most watched league out there. That's why it attracts so much TV money. And the Champions League, huge competition. City are there, getting to the latter stages. So City are going to attract companies that want to be associated with success. And we play a very appealing brand of football. So they want to be associated with that. I mean, come on. Do you want to be associated with Mourinho at United playing boring drivel, or Pep at City winning stuff, getting 100 points and smashing records? And then not just that, you get linked with all the City Football Group clubs. You've got the, MLS club, New York City FC. You got the one in Uruguay. You got the one in France, Stade Troyes. You've got the one in Belgium. You got the one in Spain, Girona. You got Yokohama Mariners in Japan, Shenzhen Jinhua in China, Mumbai City in India, and you got Melbourne City in Australia. And I think City will be getting. There was talk about getting a couple more clubs as well. So, you get straight away into all these territories. And City are big in all these territories. So City have leverage. Companies sponsor City. One of the reasons they sponsor them is because they want to get business from Abu Dhabi. Okay, you scratch my back, we'll scratch yours. And they use that. They hope that will give them some leverage. So, that's how City have done it. And the commercial deals, Nissan aren't paying 65, 75 million quid to City. I can't remember. No, it's not as much as that. But it's Puma are not paying 65 to 75 million quid for City's shirts for the good of Abu Dhabi. They're a German company. So there's no link there. And they're our biggest sponsor. So it's crazy. Spencer's Mark. Spencer's knows his history. City won a Euro Trophy, FA Cup before Liverpool. And here we go. Yeah, Notts County had striped kit before Juventus. I think Juventus copied them. They went on tour there or something. And Bill ABC TV knows his stuff. Juventus got black and white because of them. Arsenal were called a millionaire football club. Absolutely, they were paying. I'm sure they were paying backhanders. George Graham got done for bungs. So City United neck and neck all those years ago before Fergie came. Absolutely, they had a few more than us. I'll give them that. They did have that European Cup.
Key moments in history. Basically, United won things because we cocked up. It was as simple as that. As in letting them play at Main Road after the war and silly things like we did things to be nice and it backfired, unfortunately.
Yeah, Preston North End fans would argue they have more history than all of us. Absolutely, Colin and Emmanuel. Remember, guys, if you are new to the channel, before we wind down, I always think there's not a lot to talk about. We'll be on for 20 or 30 minutes. That's what I told my wife. And chatting away. It's 48 minutes, and we could keep going. But I think you got work tomorrow, aren't you, Bernard?
Indeed, sadly.
So if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Help us edge closer to that magical 1,000. We are so close, guys. So close. We're up to 974, 26 away. It is like the Holy Grail, isn't it, Bernard? Getting to 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a damp squib when you do it, but you've got to do it. You've just got to be shown to do it. I mean, then you look at someone else who's got 80,000, you think, oh well, forget it.
Probably somebody with 80,000 is making money. And why not? Last couple of things. Spencer, I love it when you meet fans across the country and all of them have a view of City being cheats and FFP fines, etc. Really, will that City have an effect? Absolutely. It is through things like TalkSport. It's things like the Sky, it's the BBC. I think the BBC did a report that had a factual error, and can't remember who corrected them, whether it was Colin Savage or Stephen Bolton, or someone corrected them. I think they changed it because people believe what they're told by the BBC, by Sky, and TalkSport. And if the people who are commenting have far less knowledge than people like Stephen Bolton, than people like Colin Savage. Probably half the time, people like you and me. What's that?
So Big Morgan, he said we're going to Arsenal. There we go. There you go, Big Morgan.
Hey!
Hey, don't look at me cold. You might say you've lost it and give my cold some up.
I'm slightly gutted that because I can't. You notice I don't go to hardly any aways anymore because the kids get growing up, and my missus I think got tired of me rolling in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes, there's a game that I went to. Must have been an Arsenal game, one of the Arsenal ones, and might have been was it Carabao Cup final or around that time? I went to an Arsenal game anyway. I rolled in about at whatever 2:30, 3 in the morning. Spent an hour and a half on the computer. Because I'd been to the game, done a load of videos, but I hadn't.
Yeah, you can't go straight to sleep, so you may as well write up things when you get home. That's what I do.
I was later.
Stuff, yeah.
And I was up at 6:30 making a video for the channel. So I think my wife got a little bit bored. It's true. You can't keep coming home once a week in the early hours. You got kids to look after and everything else. So I don't go to too many games. And the Arsenal one came up. Could have got a ticket, and I didn't realise because kids' half term is next week. But the beggars are on school trip this week. They're in Barca in Lorna. And by the time I figured out it was this week, and I couldn't get a ticket, then I thought I'll let it go. So yeah, bit gutted I missed out on that. Arsenal definitely overthink. Absolutely. City are knocking on the door. Arsenal, they can see us coming up right close behind them. Bernard's been telling me off for being rude, so I had to keep it clean. So we're right on their coattails, and they're feeling it. They're feeling it. They don't look as comfortable as they were earlier on in the season, but this game against us might lift them up. If we play
re-galvanise them if it goes the right way.
Here's the thing: if we play like we did in the second half against Villa, our title's gone. If we play like we did in the first half, title's on. We'll be with top of the table on Wednesday. So, but I've said it. I'm happy with the draw. I'm happy with the draw because we beat them at ours with 3 points behind.
Yeah, I think it's changed the complexion. I think we wouldn't have been happy last week if they'd got the full points. But now it won't be a total disaster because we'll still be there.
Gerald Sinstad, absolutely. He was taking us back, Gerald Sinstad. And Elton Welsby. Remember Elton Welsby? He's still knocking about. Is he?
Yeah, I saw him the other day, Elton Welsby, on something. I can't remember what it was now.
So I think is he an Everton fan?
Yeah. He must have been talking about Everton, yeah.
Right, guys, we've been on for far too long. I know there's still 24 people on, but the way it works is you can put your comments in and ask us questions, and we tend to stay on a bit longer. When the questions start drying up, then I look at the clock and say, wow, I've been on for that long. City will be split season mentality. Absolutely. We're not underdogs, but we're not underdogs in terms of our money and our players and all that. But we are when it comes to positive comment from the media. We are underdogs because we don't get our fair shake of the dice, I think. So Bernard, you're off on what time do you have to leave on Wednesday then to get to?
Not as early as last time we played Arsenal at the Emirates. So 3 o'clock on New Year's Day, which New Year's Day morning last time. New Year's Day 12:30 kickoff. So yeah, we're going about 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock Wednesday.
8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah, 7:30.
7:30. I got bags of time.
I think the ground will be sort of full this time. It was about a third empty the last time. Where they all come from? Where all these traditional Arsenal fans come from? They couldn't get people in the place last
Tell
season.
you what, when they were struggling, when they were all shouting out,
about part-timers. I mean, there must have been about 30,000, 35,000 and £60,000 ground. Even though they said there was 60,000 there, it was absolute rubbish.
Yeah. Although Spencer Martin, this goes back about 4 or 5 years when I had a heated discussion with some young Arsenal fans who were total plonkers, and a lot of people you're the guy from that Arsenal video, so But here's the thing. Okay, I was just messing with them, but it said, this. I can't remember what it was on Neek's. And Neek's channel, he hardly had got anybody watching it. As I went on a few times to watch stuff, he had like 15 people watching. That video smacked 50,000 views. It probably got up to 60,000 views now, and it did it very quickly. So it really banged, and it was just like Man City fan fights with Arsenal fans. There's no fight. I was very tempted to. I was very tempted to hit one of them at one point. Feel
like that poor Chelsea fan get laid out at West Ham.
Well, he was slightly unfortunate that the guy he was pointing the finger at wasn't the guy who hit him; it was somebody else. So someone took it was a you could argue a bit of a cheap shot if the guy's not looking at you. And
you can't fight fair, mate. That doesn't work out. It's not bloody rules of engagement, mate.
It's not Queensberry rules, is it? Is that what you're saying?
You got to turn into Jack Reacher. That's what you got to do these days.
I'm sure when we went to games in the 80s and 90s and stuff, all you had to do, the only quality you needed was to be able to run faster than your mate. That was it, weren't it? I remember going to Oldham.
Make sure someone bigger than you to push in front and let him go first.
I remember going to Oldham once. I remember the copper on a horse.
Oldham? Bloody hell, come on, Oldham, flipping heck.
I used to live in Oldham, so it was easy.
If there was a problem going to away grounds, Oldham was never a problem.
No, I wasn't going as a City fan. It was because my mate.
Having said that, I went up to watch. I used to watch Oldham sometimes when I couldn't get to City. And I nearly got my head kicked in when they played Cardiff one week. And I'm not going again after that. I don't mind getting beaten up for City. I'm not getting beaten up for Oldham.
So when I was at school, one of my best mate was an Oldham fan. So I went a few times with him. I just remember this copper on a horse just kind of sideswiped his horse and just hit this fellow who went flying. It's like, and so you were really careful. You were really careful. My dad didn't like us going to football grounds. Because you had the hooliganism and stabbings and fighting all the time. That's all you're getting, and throwing a bit of racism as well. So you do get a bit targeted, and people didn't care if you're a kid. Sometimes you get kids attacked. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, Spencer Mart's little comment there. I know it sounds a bit odd because Lewis has been playing well, Akanji's been playing well, but. Yes, last night it just looked a little bit more like what I expect City to be. Walker just seemed to be City for me. I know it's Lewis has done a fantastic job, but it just looked right. I don't know what it is. Certainly that first, it just looked right with Walker there. It doesn't, it looked sort of normal.
The last thing I will say, I did talk about Bernardo Silva being a false nine playing at the back, and lo and behold, someone's copied me. But hey, we see what. To be honest, I see what other people are saying, and sometimes you take what they say as well, and you use that as well. So, that I did like my point about Bernardo being a false nine, kind of, or false at the back, because he was everywhere. He's moving around, bet flat was it?
Yeah, I mean, Oldham away. I mean, obviously, I remember the year when we took half the ground was City, or almost, half the ground. There's always chance at any ground you're going to get in the wrong with the wrong guys and get it. But at Oldham, I must admit, I've never had any trouble at Oldham. Even when it's been kicking off, it's been fine. I've never had any bother.
I think last time I went up to Oldham was when we played them in a friendly. My wife wouldn't let my kids go because. It was a long time ago now when we used to go local. It was absolutely hissing it down. It was terrible. It was, and you were wet at Oldham. You got wet.
cold and wet. It's cold in May.
Oh yeah, it's cold and wet, and
I did date an Oldham girl for a couple of years, but I'm glad that didn't last.
Yeah, you were there to warm her up, weren't you? Because I just lived there. It is cold, but yeah, she won't let me kids go because it was just terrible weather, absolutely terrible. And I can't remember. Did we lose that game? I can't remember now. It was, or we might have won it later on, but it was all right. No one was nasty or anything. But I think that was the last time I went to a game there. Even though I drive through Oldham quite a lot.
I've never been to Barnsley. I've obviously been to Main Road and played Barnsley. I've never actually been to Barnsley itself. But obviously Yorkshire clubs are always a bit feisty.
Well, I've been to Oakwell. I did some work there. I volunteered to do a show for. They had a adult disability group, so I went to see them a couple of times. Went to Sheffield Wednesday.
I'm odd though, because the ones I enjoy were like Leeds, and there was so much trouble at Leeds. I used to love it. Them butterflies and that nervous feel. I just used to love it. Looking over your shoulder and things. I don't know what it is. I always loved going to Leeds, even as a teenager in my early 20s when it was rough. In the 70s, early 80s, of course. I mean, you remember the famous FA Cup game. But I don't know. I don't know. I sort of thrived on it. I don't know why. I think I thrived on avoiding the trouble rather than getting involved. I like the challenge of getting out alive without a scratch. I think that's what I always enjoyed.
I remember going to the Wolves game in the League Cup a few years ago. We beat them, I think 5-2 or something. I think Denis Suarez scored. I think that was that game. But that was because I went on my own, so walking back to my car in the dark on my own, not knowing exactly where you are. It was a little bit, packed with a lot of Wolves fans. It was a little bit, disconcerting. And obviously, I think in those days I was getting, I won't say well known, but people kind of knew who I was.
Yeah,
I remember going to Wembley. It would have been Carabao Cup, I think, years and years ago. It'd have been probably the first season we were doing Man City Fan TV, and people were just coming up to me. And I was not on Wembley Way. I was somewhat quite a way away, and I had a few people coming up to me and chatting with me. And I was really shocked. They didn't want to go on camera because I don't want to go on camera. Just how you doing? Oh, what you're doing is great and all that. I was really, really shocked. And back in those days, because I remember I went on TV and on Robbie's show on Channel 4, and so people did see me about, and everybody obviously remembers me for wearing the sunglasses. That's it. I remember going to Wembley for that Spurs game in the Centurion season.
That's why I always wear my contact lenses when I go to the football, so they don't recognise me.
Well, I just remember that, wearing the sunglasses. Wearing them throughout the game, even it was drizzling a bit, I think, but it was so bright. The lights were so bright. It was incredible. You take your sunglasses, you get an headache. That was blasting you. Yeah. Anyway, my wife came in.
I mean, Liverpool and Everton, not very nice. Not very nice. Still not very nice now, but not as bad as it used to be, obviously.
I used to live in Liverpool. Everybody used to get stuck in there.
The coppers, it's quite right about this copper. I've had the odd baton around my head in my time. I know that.
I had an argument with a scally at Wembley. He was selling scarves or something, or whatever he was selling, and he had a go at me, and I'd walked off, and he said something. So I came back, as you do, and Copper came up to me and told me to piss off. But the other thing is, the other guy was threatening me.
Yeah.
But because I turned around and came back to have it out with him, Copper came along and told me to piss off. And I said, I actually had to go to the Copper station and speak to me like that. And he actually apologised. But anyway, it was edgy. You do have your heart in your mouth when you went to games. I don't really...
It's the relief. It's just the relief of it's like, I suppose it's like, it's a horrible thing to say, but, if you're fighting in the trenches, if you survive a day, it's the relief of actually getting through that bloody day, isn't it? And nothing like that, of course it wasn't, but to actually get back on the coach, which could be smashed up anyways, or back to the train station where it could all be kicking off. Just getting back home was happy days, whether you had no windows in your coach or not. It was just a matter of getting back to to your safety, and even to Main Road, and even then it wasn't always safe depending who were playing there.
Yeah. Right, better shoot, guys, because my wife did come in, and when I said 2 minutes, I'm sure I've been on for a lot longer than that. And I did say it, so we're back at 7:30. So I'll take my rollicking.
Yeah, straight to bed. Read me film.
No, I'm telling you, dinner's in the
no,
door.
me, not you.
All right, you. I'll tell you what. No, I gotta go and do this post. I got this post ready for this theatre. Obviously, I won't be telling you where I'm playing, just in case somebody decides to come and watch me. I'm certainly not playing around Manchester. Get any City fans that hate me to turn up and boo me. Or probably you'll turn up. You and Colin will turn up and boo me. I can trust you guys. Thanks, Bernard. Thanks everybody for joining in.
Cheers, guys.
All right. See you around Blues.
See you later.